appreciate your transparency and your vulnerability. I always like to know of an entrepreneur or of a business person, what is the one consistent thing that you do on a daily or on a weekly basis as I think about the importance of discipline and being aware of one's habit as you maintain, your success?
I think I learned this from the military, is just to always have that discipline, always know what I want to do, and always go for it. Knowledge is so powerful, brother. I mean, one of my favorite quotes is "Failing to prepare is preparing to fail" by John Wooden. I mean, if you don't wake up in the morning thinking about, okay, this is my day. That's why I'm really structured. And the military kind of gave me that as well. Thinking about, this is my day. This is my game plan. This is what I plan on doing to make my goals happen. Then to me, you need to go back to sleep and wake back up. That's just me. I know other people have different ideas of how to do that, but that is the one thing that's always served me well in anything that I've done. I cannot stand being unprepared. I hate it. I like to know what's going on or whatnot. Now, I know how to adjust, because in this business, as a journalist, we have breaking news, we have things that come along or whatever. But even then, I have to have some semblance of an idea about what's going on in the world and what might happen or whatnot. So every morning I wake up, man, it's that discipline that I have to make sure that, you know what, I'm going to make the day a great day for myself when it comes to being an entrepreneur, knowing my plans, knowing my meetings or whatever, being prepared for my meetings and being over prepared sometimes, whatnot. And just giving people a whole lot more than what they expect. Somebody told me a while back that I learned. Somebody said, it was through a woman I was dating. I'll be honest with you. I was older, and my kids were actually coming to town, and I was putting up a Christmas tree around Christmas time, and I was just throwing the Christmas tree up, blah blah blah. And the lady came over. She was helping me out. And I was like, you know what? They don't expect much. I'm just a man, blah, blah, blah. She said, well, why do you want to do what they expect you to do? She said, do you want to be ordinary or do you want to be extraordinary? To be extraordinary, you got to put a little something extra on it, right? So I want to be extraordinary in everything I want to do. And I don't want you just to look at me and say, well, that's just what I expect. No, I want to give you a little bit more, because when you give somebody a little bit more, you become more of an asset. Right. And when you're prepared, they look at you and they know, you know what, Grant, I know that guy, when he comes in here, he's going to be on his P's and Q's. He's going to be ready to do anything he wants to. So to answer your question, man, just that discipline every single day to be prepared to do what I need to do and overly prepared to do what I need to do so that I can become an asset to whatever they need me for on that particular day.
So how does that look? Like, do you have like a moment with yourself in private where you're affirming yourself, you having a power up moment, you got your music on? Do you read like an affirmation every day or something? Like, how do you hone in on your discipline each day?
I wake up in the morning. I thank God for waking me up in the morning. I mean, that is where my strength comes from, brother. I mean, I am flawed. I have a lot of issues in my life or whatever, but I know where my strength comes from. Every night before I go to sleep, I thank God, thank Jesus for getting me through the day. And not just because of the physical issues, but, waking me up in the right mind and waking me up in the right spirit or whatnot, and giving me the strength to get through the day and being ready to handle and being able to tackle whatever comes my way during that day. So that's my affirmation. So when I know God is for me, I know no one can be against me. And that's why over a period of time, I've learned to accept and be thankful for the things that I don't get, as well as the things I do get. Because at the end of the day, if you're asking me the question, man, being spiritual and being the person I am, I know it's all God's will, and I'm just walking in his footsteps, and I'm following whatever footsteps that he's already laid out for me. So I'm happy with it, man. So yeah, that's my affirmation, because I know I'm going to be successful. I know I have what it takes. I know what he's put inside of me. I know the type of fearlessness that I have. I know the type of ferocity that I have and the commitment that I have. I know I'm going to be successful. I knew at an early age, when I didn't have jack, when I was poor, when the lights were off sometimes, when we had rats and roaches in my house, I knew I had something that was better inside of me. And I don't know where it came from. I know part of it. I know a lot of it came from God and my grandmother, whatever, but that innate ability that I have to make something out of nothing. Jay-Z once said, put me anywhere on God's green earth, I'll triple my worth. And I really feel like I can do that anytime. You can take everything from me right now at the age of 50, I'll rebuild it and make it better. That's the confidence that I have because I know I got that strength coming from him always.
That's good insight. Thank you.
Thank you, bro.
So we're gonna open up the floors. Any other questions? If you have any questions for Mike, just unmute yourself, jump right in.
Hi, Mike. How's it going? My name is Courtney Mays, and I just had a quick question for you. Being in the sports business for 25 years now, I know there's been a lot of changes in the industry. One of the most unique changes to the industry I've seen in the last 5 years has been the new realm of esports. How do you feel about the esports realm? Do you feel like it's something that could grow and emerge into the mainstream sports media? And how do you feel about just entrepreneurs looking to get into that business? And just can you speak about overall the how you feel about esports and the accessibility to everyone? Because everyone can be an athlete in the realm of esports. So how do you feel about that business, and how do you feel it relates to what you do in the mainstream realm of sports?
I think if you're getting into the sports industry right now, that's probably where you need to go, to be honest with you. Esports is the future, man. Always think ahead. I always tell people, don't look at what's hot right now. What do you think is going to be hot in 5 or 6 years, man? And esports, as you can see, is growing. It's got its own channels. They're on Cheddar. I have one of my mentees is actually an up-and-coming host that hosts a lot of esports events. So esports and sports gambling, that's going to be the future. So esports, sports gambling, and anything to do with debate style shows. Those are the three main platforms I think sports is kind of going into right now. So yeah, absolutely. I think even more professional athletes are starting to invest in esports. They're buying their own teams, whatever. You see the networks. I actually had a pitch from somebody from my production company about 3 or 4 months ago to actually get more involved in esports. I'm hearing more and more about it. So when you see those trends, please, buy into those trends. Do your homework once again. Be prepared for everything that's coming down the pipe, and be patient for it to happen. Once again, think ahead and not about what's hot right now. Kodak was once a hot company. Blockbuster Video. You guys remember Blockbuster Video? You old enough to remember Blockbuster Video? Yeah. They were hot. They were one of the biggest companies that was out there. But what came along? Streaming. People stop, we don't need DVDs anymore. We don't need to rent out these cassette tapes. We can just get this and click onto our TV right here, and we got the streaming services right now. So one of the reasons why you was asking me about making that transition, I got out of the world of sports a little bit to go into TV hosting because I can have a longer career doing that because I have a lot more to talk about right now, and B, I like the streaming aspect of things. My last 2 big shows I've done was on Netflix and right now on Fox Soul, which is a streaming channel, because that's the future. How many of y'all have cut cable? People don't look at cable that much anymore. They look at apps. They look at the streaming services, whatnot. So when you're talking about looking at the future of sports or whatever, if you see that esports is starting to get hot, jump on it right away. If you want to be in front of the camera, behind the camera, own a team or whatever, but please, definitely look ahead and not look at what's right now.
Thank you.
No problem.
Awesome. So Mike, tell us about some of the people that have either mentored you or paved the way in your world, and who do you look up to that is currently in your space right now?
I look up to people that just that do it the right way. A lot of people thought that when I first got on ESPN that I looked up to Stuart Scott, and I always admired Stuart Scott, the late, great Stuart Scott or whatnot. Our styles were similar, and at a point, it was something where I kind of resented him, in a sense, to be honest with you, because our styles were so similar that people thought that I was trying to be him, which I wasn't. But I look at guys like Stephen A. Smith, Dan Patrick back in the day, was a sportscaster I looked up to because he had fun doing it his way. Now, when it comes to TV hosting or whatever, I got my mentor, Kevin Frazier, over at Entertainment Tonight, that's always kind of looked out for me. A guy named Bruce Cunningham, who's at a local station in Baltimore. But having those guys that you can kind of look up to, kind of like, okay, well, you know, I see what he's doing. I'm gonna take bits and pieces of him. I'm not gonna be him, whatever, because I'm gonna keep my own personality, whatever. But I like your style there. How did you do that? Asking those questions. Those are always important. So in this industry, look, I look at everybody that I can take bits out. There's not one particular person that I say, that's who I want to emulate. That's who I want to be. This is my goal in life. I look at myself and say, I can be just as big as this person. I can be just as great as this person. I want to do as much as this person. So overall, if it came down to it, if you ask me to pinpoint who I would like to be, like, you see what Michael Strahan is doing right now? You guys aware of what Michael Strahan is doing? Michael Strahan went from the world of sports, jumped into GMA. He's still doing a little sports. He's hosting game shows. He has his own production company. So when I look at Michael Strahan, I say, you know what? I kind of want to emulate that type of path, that career, not necessarily do everything he's doing, but I want to emulate that path where it's not like you will never look at Mike Hill and say he's a one-trick pony. The one thing that I love when people, and hopefully I'm not coming across as arrogant, but the one thing that I love that people say about me to describe me is when they say I'm versatile. And I think that is one of the biggest assets you can have in any career. Be versatile. Always know more than just your job. Know that job. There are a lot of people who can do a lot of things better than me, but there aren't a lot of people that can do more than me when it comes to doing different things in this business, because I want to learn it all. Because when you tell me that you no longer need my services doing this, okay, well, how about you hire me to do this over here, because I can do this as well. So being versatile has always been one of the biggest assets that I always wanted to have. And I think a guy like Michael Strahan, who made that transition from being a Hall of Fame football player to a great broadcaster to a producer and doing things behind the scenes, I think he's a prime example to have.
Thanks for those comments, Mike. Your thoughts on sports and social activism? They seem to be melting into each other right now. A year ago, that was unheard of, right? So, and today it seems as if it's more accepting. From your point of view and your perspective, can you put some thoughts or comments about that? Good thing, bad thing, way trajectory, this is the way to go. Your thoughts.
It's a beautiful thing. I love athletes who use their platform. Athletes, entertainers, whoever, broadcasters who use their platforms to speak their mind, to make this world a better place to live in for this country. Look, we know what we've gone through as a people. And if you can encourage people to buy some Nike gear or buy this certain kind of car, you can encourage them to get out there and vote. You can encourage them to get out there and make a change in this world. You can encourage them to demand change when it comes to politicians and whatnot. I love it. When they talk up and they speak up and they almost boycott. They boycott because of, something that happens to George Floyd or Breonna Taylor, or somebody gets shot in the back 6 or 7 times or whatnot. And when they speak up and they speak their mind, they have that influence. And with the advent of social media, their voices are even more powerful. The athletes are now figuring out how powerful their voices are. And when the athletes stick together, they can influence a lot of the owners who have even more power, in a sense, when it comes to speaking to local politicians, district attorneys, mayors, governors, even the president, to put pressure on them because they don't want money coming out of their pocket. A lot of it comes down to economics. So when the athletes speak their mind and say what's on their mind to try and bring about that change, I absolutely love it. And as a former military guy, I always looked up to Colin Kaepernick, and I've always defended Colin Kaepernick when he knelt during the national anthem. I hated when people tried to change the narrative or tried to dangle these keys over here to try and distract you from the problem and looking at the action and not looking at why he's doing what he's doing and whatnot. It's not disrespectful to the military. As a matter of fact, I think it's paying homage to the military, because guess what we do as military men? We fight for the right for you to have that right to protest. This country was built on protest. Everything that happens in this country when it comes about change, it starts with protest. So to answer your question, I love it when athletes speak their mind, speak up, and not be afraid to speak their mind, because once again, we are powerful. They are powerful people, and together they can't be defeated.
Rashad, you had another question?
We got another question from Rashad.
I wanted you to talk about a time that you had an experience or maybe like an opportunity that came up where you felt like you weren't getting paid whatever your worth is. And it's not necessarily money, but like maybe like, you know, you weren't getting enough time on camera, or you weren't, or just something like in that realm. And like, how did you respond to that?
You reading the book. When I was at ESPN, people look at ESPN and they put you on it's a platform, right? So everybody knows what ESPN is. Everybody knows you look at here. They see you on television, and once again, they think, oh man, you're so successful. You're doing this. You're doing great. You're doing this show and doing that show, whatnot. But they don't understand some of the things that that go on behind the scenes when you're working. And I'm not trying to dog ESPN out, so please don't look at it that way. At one time, I was a little bitter about certain things that happened there or whatever, but I have learned to grow. I had to learn to grow over the years or whatever. So when I was at ESPN, to answer your question, there were times where I knew I was just as good or even better than certain people, but because of certain things that went on, or because of politics or things that happened behind the scenes that happened at every other network and happened at every other big company, I get it. I just didn't feel like it was right. So being overworked, underpaid is one thing, but when you feel underappreciated, that's another. And that's when you start, and I was talking about the happiness. I was miserable sometimes at ESPN. People will look and say, well, why are you upset? Why are you miserable? Man, you work at ESPN, you got the exposure, life is good. No, man. It has to be something that goes along with it when you are appreciated. When somebody, not every day when somebody says, attaboy for doing your job, but it can't be a situation where if the slightest thing goes wrong, you hear about that, but you never hear about the great things that you're doing. You know, just like hey, you know, good job, blah, blah, that interview is great. You got that exclusive or whatever. And you're hearing it from everybody on the outside, but you're not hearing it from the people on the inside. So when I was at ESPN, I kind of went through it, and the way I got over it, once again, is prayer and formulating a plan to leave, to get out, because we all have a choice. I'm not telling people to just quit your job the first time something happens or whatever, but if there's a pattern where you don't feel happy in any relationship, whether it's a personal or professional relationship, my whole thing is not necessarily cut bait and run, but formulate a plan. Say, okay, how can I make this better for myself? Look yourself in the mirror first to make sure that you're not the problem, because I've seen people go from job to job to job to job, and every job or every person that they work with is somebody else's fault. After a while, you got to look and you got to self-evaluate yourself and basically say, well, what's the common denominator in this thing? Same thing happening every time. If the same thing is happening every time in 4 different spots, it could be you. So when you self-evaluate yourself and basically say, well, man, I'm the problem, you got to fix that problem. But if it's not you, and you realize that, and you're honest with yourself about that, and you're in a position or situation where you're just not happy, or you're not being respected, or you're not being appreciated, work harder. And when you work harder, formulate that plan for your escape to find something else and parlay what they are giving you into something that's going to work for you. And that's what I've been able to do in my career, fortunately.
Awesome. So, Mike, I'm going to be super respectful of your time. We're going to take a couple more questions. I'm going to go to Lance, and maybe 1 or 2 after that, depending on the time, but we definitely want to be respectful of your time. Lance, unmute yourself, ask your question.
We also have Elijah that has had his hands up too for some time. So.
Oh.
Okay, hi, how you doing? My name is Lance Williams, and my question for you was, I remember earlier that you were talking about not like still trying to find that balance within your life to kind of handle all the things that you have going on. And I know it's like that's like an important thing to find as an entrepreneur, because you want to do all things in your life effectively. So I was wondering, how are you going about finding that balance, and what would you say are the ways that you are, going about it?
Yeah. Well, it's tough. I got to be honest with you. My mom asked me the other day, she's like, what do you got to do today? What are you doing tomorrow? What are you doing? She's like, when do you rest? When do you have a day off? And really, to be honest with you, I have not had a day off since, I'll tell you, last day I had off, August 22nd, 3 days after my birthday. I hadn't taken a day off. I've been traveling or doing something else. And it's like, I love it, don't get me wrong, but after a while, it's like, man, I need a day. I need to just have a veg day where I sit in the bed. I don't have to think about anything. Just bring me some Fruit Loops, some Cheerios or whatever up to the bed, and I can watch TV all day. I don't have many of those days, but I have to find them. And that's one of the things that I was talking to my fiance, Cynthia, about, because we both go so hard. She works so hard. I work hard. She's got her own business. I'm about to go to her wine shop right now, as a matter of fact. She's in South Carolina. We got to get ready for this wedding. That's a lot of things that's happening. I'm doing some acting on the side. So things come. Now, I love being busy, don't get me wrong, because it's better than the opposite of not being busy, of not having anybody calling your name or your number or whatever and not giving you jobs. So I respect that and I appreciate that. And I think that's what kind of gives me that fuel, because as long as somebody wants you, you're doing something right. But at the same time, that balance has to come into play. So even though it's been hard for me lately, I have to find that balance. And like I was saying to Miss Tiffany, is that I have fun doing what I do for the most part. So when I do take on a project, I will figure out, okay, does this fit into my life and my lifestyle and what I want to do right now? Am I able to give it the proper amount of time that it deserves? Because I get people giving me pitches all the time for shows and reality shows or whatever. They want to write scripts or whatever. And I'll tell them right now, I'm not doing anything until after October 10th, because that's my wedding day. So I just don't have enough to put on the plate, and I want to be able to give them the proper time. So finding that balance is tough, but it is necessary. And when you're doing what you enjoy doing, that you love doing, once again, it doesn't feel like work. And it's just something that, you kind of just, it kind of moves out during the whole day. It's been tough during the pandemic, though, I'll tell you that much. Quarantine, being at home all the time, sometimes I have to give myself hours. Okay, I'm going to wake up at 9 o'clock and I'm going to work from 9 to 5. I'm going to take a break, go back and do something at 9 to 11, and then I'm going to go to sleep. But it's been tough, man. So, I'm still trying to figure it out, as you can tell by just that rambling answer that I just gave you right there.
Thank you so much.
No problem.
Elijah?
Elijah, yeah, you can close this out, Elijah.
Yes. So my question for you is that out of your long, successful career, is there anything that you would have done differently, whether that's an opportunity that you would have passed up? And how did you cope with making that or realizing that moment?
What was the last part of that question?
How do you cope with possibly passing up on an opportunity that you wish you would have taken?
Oh, there are certain things that I look at and I have no regrets. I look at them as life lessons. I don't have regrets. There are things that have come up. I got offered ESPN before I actually got to ESPN. I turned it down because I wanted to go to New York or whatever. And then right after I got to New York, 9/11 happened and the show I was working on got canceled and I was out of work for 6 months. So I could look at that and say, man, if I would have just gone to ESPN, I could have gotten my career started there sooner. My trajectory would have been a lot quicker or whatever. Or I could look back and say, you know what? Had I accepted that job at ESPN right then, knowing what I know about working at ESPN when I did get the job there 3 years later, I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready for it. So once again, it always comes back to God, and he's going to put me in places that I need to be, not necessarily where I want to be at that particular time, but where I need to be at my point in my career. Looking back at everything that's happened, when I got fired in Dallas, whatnot, had an opportunity to go to Tampa, wanted the job down there or whatever, because I wanted a job. Not that I needed a job, not that I wanted that particular job. I needed a job, and he didn't give it to me. even though they said they was going to hire me or whatever for some other reasons or whatever, some crazy reasons. And I look back on that and I thank God that I didn't get it, because 8 months later, that's when ESPN did call, and I was ready and I was hungry and I moved up or whatever. So anything that comes my way or whatever, opportunities that comes my way, and if I turn them down or whatever, I don't look back on them. I'll look at other people and say, oh, they did a good job or whatever, or I could have done this or that, or I would have done this differently or whatever. Opportunities that don't come my way, I used to get upset about them in the beginning, but now I've learned that, you know what? No, it wasn't for me at that particular time. So I just look at those situations, man, and just understand that I'm where I'm supposed to be, and I've been where I was supposed to be at that particular time, and it's made me the person I am. And you mentioned successful. I don't consider myself successful by any means, to be honest with you. I've had success, and this is just me. Once again, success to me, being successful means attaining your full potential. And I have not attained my full potential right now. I think I've attained about 40% of what I can possibly do with my life when it comes to my potential or whatnot. That's why at 50 years old, I feel like the next 20, 25 years of my life are going to be the best years of my life, not from a personal standpoint or a professional standpoint, but from both. And because I have this together now, and I know exactly who I am after writing the book and after going to mental therapy, it's made me a better person. So that's where my success is going to come from. I've had success, but I'm far from successful.
Awesome, awesome. Well, Mike, thank you so much for just taking time out of your schedule to pour into these young men. And we had a couple females on as well. So just want to say thank you. We're going to wrap it up right now, and we'll be in touch.
Oh, thank you so much. I want to say, you know, and anytime you guys have questions, anything you need from me, please, I'm begging you. I'm here for you. You can get my email. I'll give you my phone. I don't care. I just want to be there for you guys. So if you want to take my email, it's mhill@thrilloфentertainment.com. That's mhill@thrilloфentertainment.com. Please keep in touch with me. I want to help out. If I don't have the time, I will find somebody who does have the time to help you out, because it's all about mentorship. You talked about somebody that you can learn from or grow from. That's it. mhill@thrilloфentertainment.com. That is it. So make sure you write that down, and I will get back in touch with you. I promise you I will, and find some kind of time throughout my day to help you out to attain your goals. If you want it, I got to see that you want it too, because if you're going to waste your time, don't waste my time. That's my whole thing. But if you want to give me the time and you got the time for yourself and you want to make something great out of yourself, whatever knowledge that I have, I am willing to share it with you. I swear to God, I will. Thank you, guys.
Mike, thank you so much. One of the things that we will ask, and hopefully those on this call will definitely reach out, you emphasize that internships is a must, the cornerstone. So if you're willing to offer a few internships for these students and others, we certainly would appreciate that, because having that opportunity and have someone open the door for them can make a difference in somebody's life. So we really want to thank you. And like you said, they have to reach out and do the next step. But we're looking for opportunities for our young people to have those internships. And
I'm willing, ESPN, Fox Sports, wherever you need it, Fox Soul, you know, I know people, I will help you out. I promise you. If I can't do it for you personally, I will hand you to the right person that will lead you down the right path. I promise you that. Well, thank you so much. Thanks for joining, taking time, and good luck and congratulations on your wedding. Thank you so much. This has been fun. Anytime you need me, I'm here for you. Thank you. All right. Bye-bye.